Every single moment of your existence right now, you are creating your future, whether you realize it or not. The thoughts you hold, the beliefs you carry, the energy you radiate, they're all shaping the reality you'll experience tomorrow, next week, next year. But here's the shocking truth that most people never discover. You have far more power than you've ever been taught to believe. You're not a victim of circumstance. You're not helpless against the tides of fate. And you're certainly not meant to live a small, constrained, ordinary life. There exists within you, dormant perhaps, a force so potent, so transformative, that once awakened, it can reshape everything. This is the central message of L.W. Rogers' profound work, Self-Development and the Way to Power, a book that doesn't just offer motivational platitudes, but presents a systematic, practical philosophy for accessing the immense creative power that already resides within you. L.W. Rogers wrote this masterpiece to address a fundamental human challenge. We live far beneath our potential. We accept limitations as permanent fixtures. We internalize other people's opinions as unchangeable truths, and we drift through life reactive instead of creative, powerless instead of powerful. But Rogers insists that this diminished existence is not natural, it's learned. And what has been learned can be unlearned. What has been forgotten can be remembered. The power to transform your life, to manifest your desires, to overcome obstacles that seem insurmountable. This power isn't something you need to acquire from outside yourself. It's already there, waiting patiently for you to recognize it, claim it, develop it. The foundation of Rogers' teaching rests on a radical premise. You are not merely a physical body navigating a material world. You are consciousness itself, expressing through physical form. Your true nature is spiritual, eternal, limitless. The physical world you perceive with your senses is real, yes, but it's only one dimension of a much larger reality. Behind the visible world lies an invisible realm of thought, emotion, and spiritual energy. And this invisible realm is actually primary. It's the source, the cause, the creative force that shapes what eventually manifests in physical form. Understanding this, truly grasping this at a deep level, changes everything. Because if the invisible creates the visible, if thought precedes form, if consciousness shapes matter, then by learning to work consciously with these invisible forces, you gain the ability to deliberately create your circumstances rather than simply react to them. This isn't magical thinking or wishful fantasy. Rogers approaches self-development as a science, with observable principles and reproducible results. Just as physical laws govern the material world, predictably and consistently, spiritual laws govern the invisible dimensions of reality. These laws operate whether you understand them or not, whether you believe in them or not. Gravity doesn't require your belief to function, and neither do the laws of mental and spiritual causation. But here's the key difference. When you understand these laws and learn to work with them consciously, intelligently, persistently, you move from being subject to circumstance to being the creator of circumstance. You shift from effect to cause, from passenger to driver, from victim to master. The first principle Rogers wants you to understand is that thought is creative. Not sometimes, not metaphorically, but always, literally, powerfully. Every thought you think sends out a vibration into the universe. That vibration attracts similar vibrations. It sets forces in motion. It begins organizing circumstances. Thoughts are not passive commentaries on reality. They are active forces that shape reality. When you think consistently in certain patterns, You create mental grooves, habitual thought structures that become easier and easier to follow. These thought patterns then express outward as your personality, your habits, your choices, and ultimately, your life circumstances. Your outer world is always, without exception, a reflection of your inner world. Show me your thoughts, and I can predict your future. Change your thoughts, and you change your future. It really is that direct, that powerful, that absolute. But Rogers doesn't stop at simply telling you that thoughts are creative. He explains why. He draws on both ancient wisdom traditions and emerging understandings of consciousness to present a coherent worldview. The universe, he explains, is not dead matter accidentally organized into forms. The universe is alive, conscious, intelligent. There is a universal mind, an infinite intelligence that pervades all existence. This is not a distant deity sitting on a throne somewhere, passing judgment. This is the very fabric of reality itself, the creative intelligence that manifests as all things. You are not separate from this universal mind. You are an expression of it, an individualized center of consciousness within it. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, but is the ocean expressing in a particular form, you are not separate from the universal mind. You are the universal mind expressing through your particular point of awareness. This understanding revolutionizes your relationship with life. If you are the universal mind expressing individually, then you have access to infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, infinite creative power. The limitations you experience are not inherent to your nature. They are self-imposed, based on ignorance of who you really are. Rogers says that recognizing your divine nature, understanding that you are spirit temporarily using a physical form, is the first and most crucial step in self-development. Without this foundational understanding, you remain identified with the limited, mortal, vulnerable physical self. You remain afraid, defensive, lacking, struggling. But when you realize that your true self is immortal spirit, unlimited consciousness, divine creative power, everything changes. Fear dissolves because what can threaten the eternal? Lack dissolves because you recognize yourself as one with infinite abundance. Weakness dissolves because you know yourself as unlimited power. Now, some people hear this teaching and misunderstand it. They think it means you can just wish for things and they'll magically appear, no effort required. That's not what Rogers teaches, and it's not how the universe works. Yes, thought is creative. Yes, you can attract circumstances through mental focus, but there's a process, a science to it. You don't just think random hopeful thoughts and expect transformation. You must think clearly, consistently, intensely, with emotional power. And most importantly, you must align your thoughts with the fundamental nature of the universe itself. What is the fundamental nature of the universe? It is expansion, growth, increasing life. The universe moves ever toward greater complexity, greater consciousness, greater expression. This is the evolutionary impulse that drives all existence. When you align your desires and intentions with this universal movement toward greater life, toward growth, toward the expansion of consciousness, the entire universe supports you. The path becomes smoother, synchronicities appear, doors open. But when you work against this universal flow, when you seek things that diminish life, that contract consciousness, that harm others, you work against the fundamental current of reality itself, and you struggle, you suffer, you fail. This brings us to a crucial principle. Power must be used ethically, or it becomes self-destructive. Rogers is very clear about this. As you develop your mental and spiritual capacities, as you gain greater ability to influence circumstances and manifest desires, you simultaneously take on greater responsibility. You cannot use these powers selfishly, harmfully, manipulatively without creating karmic consequences that will eventually return to you. The universe is perfectly just. What you put out, you receive back. Not as punishment, but as natural law, as automatic consequence. If you use your developing powers to help others, to serve life, to contribute to the greater good, you create positive momentum that lifts you higher and higher. If you use them selfishly, to dominate, to take advantage, to harm, you create negative momentum that eventually destroys everything you've built. So ethical living is not just morally nice, it's strategically essential. It's not about following external rules imposed by authority. It's about understanding the nature of reality and working in harmony with it. Rogers emphasizes that true power comes from purity of motive, from genuine desire to serve, from love. Love is not weakness, it's the most powerful force in the universe. Love is the attractive power that holds all things together. When you act from love, you align with the fundamental binding force of reality itself. When you act from fear, hate, or selfish desire, you work against this force and you limit your own power. Let's talk about how you actually develop this power. Rogers provides practical methods, specific techniques, systematic approaches. It's not vague or mystical, it's concrete and actionable. The foundation is concentration, the ability to hold your mind steady on a single point. Most people have no mental discipline whatsoever. Their thoughts scatter in every direction, pulled by every passing stimulus, reacting to every external event. This scattered mental state is weakness. It's like trying to cut through steel with a handful of scattered threads. But when you gather those same threads and twist them together into a rope, suddenly you have strength. When you gather your scattered thoughts and focus them into a concentrated beam, you have power. Rogers recommends daily concentration practice. Choose an object, any object, and hold your attention on it for increasing periods of time. Start with just 1 minute if necessary. Sit comfortably, look at the object, and refuse to let your mind wander. When it does wander, and it will, gently bring it back. No self-judgment, no frustration, just patient, persistent practice. Over time, you'll find you can maintain focus for 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. As your concentration strengthens, you'll notice effects in every area of your life. You'll work more efficiently, learn more rapidly, solve problems more creatively. But the real benefit is that you're building the fundamental capacity you need for all higher spiritual development. Concentration is to mental power what physical strength training is to athletic performance. It's the foundation everything else builds upon. Beyond basic concentration, Rogers teaches meditation, but not as escape from the world. Meditation is not about blanking your mind and floating in empty peace, although that can be restful. Meditation is about accessing deeper levels of consciousness, connecting with your higher self, tapping into universal intelligence. Rogers suggests starting each day with meditation, even just 15 or 20 minutes. Sit quietly, turn your attention inward, release attachment to external concerns. In this quiet inner space, insights arise. Guidance emerges. You connect with the wisdom that's always available, but usually drowned out by surface mental noise. Regular meditation gradually transforms your consciousness, raising your vibrational frequency, expanding your awareness, dissolving limiting beliefs. Visualization is another critical technique Rogers emphasizes. Since thought is creative and the invisible precedes the visible, you can use visualization to consciously create your future. But this isn't passive daydreaming. Effective visualization is detailed, vivid, emotional, consistent. Choose what you want to create or achieve. See it clearly in your mind, in full detail. Engage all your senses. If you're visualizing a new home, see the rooms, feel the textures, smell the scents, hear the sounds. Make it real in your imagination. And most crucially, feel the emotions you would feel if this desire were already fulfilled. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the pride, the peace. Emotion is the power that energizes thought and drives manifestation. Thought without emotion is weak. Thought charged with intense positive emotion is irresistibly creative. Rogers instructs you to practice this visualization daily, preferably at the same times each day, morning and evening. Consistency is essential. You're not just hoping or wishing. You're programming your subconscious mind, sending out clear signals to the universe, aligning your entire being with the desired outcome. Over time, circumstances begin to shift. Opportunities appear. Ideas come to you. People enter your life who can help. What seemed impossible begins to feel inevitable. This is not magic. It's the natural operation of universal law, consciously directed. Another powerful technique is affirmation. Affirmations are positive statements declared with conviction, repeated regularly, designed to reprogram limiting beliefs and instill empowering truths. Rogers explains that your subconscious mind accepts what it's told repeatedly and with emotional intensity. If you've been telling yourself, consciously or unconsciously, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," "Life is hard," "People can't be trusted," your subconscious has accepted these as truths and created a reality consistent with them. But you can change this programming. You can deliberately install new beliefs through affirmation. Create affirmations that state your desired reality as if it's already true, present tense, positive, emotionally charged. "I am confident and capable. Abundance flows to me easily. I am worthy of success and happiness. I am powerful. I am strong. I am growing every day." Speak these aloud, with feeling, every morning and evening. Don't just mumble them mechanically. Declare them with conviction, even if you don't fully believe them yet. Repetition with emotion will eventually overcome old programming and establish new patterns. Your subconscious doesn't argue. It simply accepts what's impressed upon it repeatedly. Rogers also addresses the critical importance of thought control throughout the day, not just during formal practice sessions. Monitor your thinking constantly. Become aware of negative thoughts the moment they arise. Worry, fear, doubt, resentment, jealousy, criticism. Don't suppress these thoughts violently or judge yourself for having them, but don't indulge them either. Simply notice them, recognize them as contrary to your goals, and consciously replace them with positive alternatives. This requires vigilance at first, but becomes easier with practice. Eventually, positive thinking becomes your default mode, your automatic response, your natural state. This brings us to one of Rogers' most important teachings, the law of attraction. This isn't New Age fluff. It's ancient wisdom supported by observable patterns. Like attracts like, in thought, in emotion, in circumstance. When you consistently hold thoughts of abundance, you attract abundant circumstances. When you dwell on lack, you attract more experiences of lacking. When you focus on health and vitality, you strengthen your body. When you obsess over illness and limitation, you weaken yourself. This isn't fair or unfair, it's simply how the universe operates. You are a magnet, constantly attracting experiences, people, and circumstances that match your dominant mental and emotional state. Understanding this law places tremendous responsibility on you, but also tremendous power. You're not a victim of random chance. You're attracting your experiences through your habitual patterns of thought and feeling. This means you can change your life by changing your inner state. If you want different circumstances, become a different person internally. Raise your vibration. Shift your focus. Change your emotional set point. The external will inevitably follow the internal. Rogers stresses that you must believe, genuinely believe, that what you desire is possible and coming to you. Doubt is poison to manifestation. Doubt sends a contradictory signal that cancels out your positive intention. This is why working on your fundamental beliefs about yourself and life is so crucial. If deep down you believe you're unworthy, or that life is struggle, or that good things only happen to others, you'll sabotage every effort to create something better. You must dig out these limiting beliefs, examine them, recognize them as false, and replace them with empowering truths. This inner work is the real work of self-development. Everything else follows from it. Now let's address something Rogers emphasizes strongly: persistence. Power is not developed overnight. Self-mastery is not achieved in a weekend workshop. This is a lifelong journey of growth, learning, refinement. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when nothing seems to be working. There will be temptations to give up, to fall back into old patterns, to doubt the whole process. This is where most people fail. They practice these principles for a few weeks, don't see immediate dramatic results, and abandon the effort. But Rogers insists that if you persist, if you maintain the practices day after day, week after week, month after month, results are absolutely guaranteed. The universe is lawful. It responds to consistent application of its principles. Think of it like working out physically. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be transformed. You go consistently, week after week, and gradually, inevitably, you get stronger. Mental and spiritual development works the same way. Daily practice, patient persistence, steady application, these create cumulative effects that eventually reach a tipping point where everything changes. Rogers promises that if you commit to these practices for even 6 months, consistently and seriously, you will be amazed at the transformation in your consciousness, your circumstances, your entire life. Part of persistence is learning from failure. When something doesn't work, when you fall back into old patterns, when you manifest the opposite of what you intended, don't despair. Analyze what happened. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What beliefs were active? Every failure contains valuable information. Every setback is feedback, showing you where you still need to work, what beliefs still need to change, what patterns still need to be transformed. Rogers teaches that there are no real failures, only learning experiences if you approach life with that attitude. Another crucial element Rogers discusses is the power of habit. Your life is essentially the sum of your habits. What you do consistently, automatically, without thinking, this is what creates your reality. If you have the habit of negative thinking, the habit of procrastination, the habit of blame, the habit of self-indulgence, these habits are creating a negative reality. But if you cultivate habits of positive focus, disciplined action, personal responsibility, self-control, these habits create a positive reality. The beautiful thing about habits is that they're changeable. You created them, often unconsciously, but you can recreate them consciously. Rogers suggests systematically examining your current habits, identifying which ones serve you and which ones sabotage you, and then deliberately replacing negative habits with positive ones. Don't try to change everything at once. That's overwhelming and usually fails. Pick one habit at a time. Focus on it intensely for 30 days until the new pattern is established. Then move to the next habit. Over time, you'll completely transform your automatic behaviors and therefore your life. Let's talk about another major theme in Rogers' work: the importance of living in the present moment. Most people spend their mental energy either regretting the past or worrying about the future. This is pure waste. The past is gone, unchangeable, finished. The future hasn't arrived and isn't fixed. The only moment you have any power in is right now, this present moment. When you're fully present, when your attention is completely engaged with what's happening right now, you're in your power. You can respond intelligently, creatively, effectively. But when your mind is lost in past regrets or future worries, you're powerless because you're not actually here. Rogers recommends practicing presence throughout the day. Whatever you're doing, do it fully, with complete attention. If you're eating, taste your food, really taste it. If you're walking, feel each step. If you're talking with someone, listen completely, without planning what you'll say next. This practice of presence not only makes life richer and more enjoyable, it dramatically increases your effectiveness. You make better decisions, you notice opportunities, you respond rather than react. You access your full intelligence and intuition. Presence also connects you with the deeper dimension of your being. When you're fully present, the constant mental chatter quiets, and you can sense the stillness beneath thought, the consciousness that's aware of thought, your true self. This connection with your deeper being is the source of peace, wisdom, and power. The more time you spend resting in present moment awareness, in pure consciousness, the more you embody your spiritual nature and the more naturally power flows through you. Rogers also discusses the role of desire in self-development. Some spiritual teachings say you should eliminate all desires, become detached from outcomes, want nothing. Rogers disagrees. Desire is the motivating force of evolution, of growth, of creation. Without desire, nothing would ever happen. The universe itself is driven by the desire to express more life, more consciousness, more beauty. Your desires are expressions of this universal creative impulse flowing through you. They're not problems to eliminate, they're signals to follow. However, Rogers distinguishes between different levels of desire. Low-level desires, purely selfish appetites, cravings that harm yourself or others, these should be controlled and refined. But higher desires, aspirations that align with your spiritual growth, desires to serve, to contribute, to create beauty, to help others, to express your gifts, these should be embraced and pursued with passion. Your deepest, truest desires are actually your soul's guidance system, showing you the direction of your growth and fulfillment. The key is not to be controlled by desire, desperate and grasping, but to desire from a place of inner fullness, confident that what's truly meant for you will come. Desire it, visualize it, work toward it, but remain peaceful in the knowing that the universe is arranging things perfectly. This balanced approach combines passion with peace, ambition with acceptance, effort with surrender. Rogers emphasizes the importance of developing all aspects of yourself, not just mental or spiritual dimensions. You are a multifaceted being, mind, body, emotions, spirit, all interconnected. Neglecting any dimension creates imbalance and limits your overall development. Take care of your physical body through healthy eating, regular exercise, adequate rest. Your body is the vehicle through which your consciousness expresses in the physical world. Treat it with respect and care. A healthy, vital body supports clear thinking, stable emotions, and strong spiritual connection. Develop your emotional intelligence as well. Learn to recognize your emotions, understand their messages, express them appropriately, and guide them consciously. Emotions are energy, power, fuel for manifestation. Positive emotions like love, joy, gratitude, enthusiasm, these elevate your vibration and attract positive circumstances. Negative emotions like fear, anger, resentment, these lower your vibration and attract difficult circumstances. You don't need to suppress negative emotions that creates toxicity, but you do need to process them healthily and not dwell in them. Intellectually, never stop learning. Read widely, study deeply, question everything, develop your reasoning abilities, expand your knowledge. An educated mind is a powerful tool. The more you understand about how life works, about human nature, about the laws of the universe, the more effectively you can navigate existence. But don't mistake information for wisdom. Wisdom comes from integrating knowledge with experience, from applying what you learn, from developing understanding beyond just intellectual concepts. Rogers also talks about the importance of right livelihood, working at something that aligns with your values and contributes positively to the world. If you spend your days doing work you hate, work that feels meaningless, work that harms others, this creates inner conflict and drains your power. Find or create work that uses your gifts, serves others, and provides value. When your work is aligned with your purpose, it becomes a source of energy rather than a drain. You feel fulfilled, enthusiastic, powerful. This doesn't mean work will always be easy or pleasant. There will be challenges, difficulties, tasks you don't enjoy. But if the overall direction and purpose of your work aligns with your values and contributes to the greater good, you can face these challenges with resilience and even find meaning in the struggle. Work becomes not just a way to make money, but a path of growth, a form of service, a vehicle for expressing your creativity and making a difference. Rogers speaks powerfully about the development of will. Will is not just stubbornness or forcing things to happen. True will is the focused, sustained application of consciousness toward a chosen goal. It's the ability to decide what you want, commit to it completely, and then persist until it's achieved, regardless of obstacles, setbacks, or difficulties. Will is power, and developing strong will is essential to self-mastery. Most people have weak wills. They want things, but only casually. They start projects, but don't finish them. They make resolutions that last a few days or weeks. This weakness of will is weakness of power. Every time you fail to follow through on a commitment to yourself, you weaken your will. You teach yourself that your decisions don't really matter, that your word to yourself can't be trusted. Conversely, every time you commit to something and follow through, despite difficulty, you strengthen your will. You prove to yourself that you're reliable, that you're powerful, that you can be trusted. Rogers recommends deliberately practicing will development. Make small commitments and keep them absolutely. If you decide to wake up at 6, wake up at 6, no excuses. If you commit to exercise 3 times per week, do it without fail. Start with small, achievable commitments and build from there. As your will strengthens, You can take on larger challenges, longer-term goals, more difficult transformations. Strong will is like a muscle. It develops through consistent use, and once developed, it becomes your greatest asset. Let's explore another profound teaching from Rogers: the power of service. Paradoxically, the fastest way to gain power is to give it away in service to others. When you help others, when you contribute to their well-being, when you serve life itself, you align with the fundamental nature of the universe, which is to give, to express, to share. This alignment brings tremendous power flowing through you. Service also takes you out of self-centered consciousness, which is inherently limiting, and connects you with something larger than yourself. When you're focused only on your own problems, needs, and desires, you remain small, contracted, weak. But when you turn your attention to serving others, to solving larger problems, to contributing to something meaningful, you expand, you grow, you become powerful. Your own problems often solve themselves or diminish in importance when you're focused on serving something greater. Rogers emphasizes that real service comes from love, not duty or obligation. Service motivated by guilt, by trying to earn worthiness, or by needing approval, this is not true service and doesn't carry the same power. True service flows naturally from a heart that recognizes its connection with all life, that sees another's pain as its own, that feels called to contribute simply because it can. Find ways to serve that genuinely resonate with you, that use your unique gifts, that feel like joyful expression rather than burdensome sacrifice. Another critical principle Rogers teaches is the law of compensation. This is essentially karma, the understanding that you reap what you sow. Every action creates consequences. Every thought sets forces in motion. Every word sends out vibrations. All of this comes back to you, not as punishment or reward, but as natural, automatic consequence. If you sow kindness, you reap kindness. If you sow dishonesty, you reap distrust. If you give generously, you receive abundantly. If you hoard selfishly, you experience lack. Understanding this law changes how you approach life. You realize that everything you do to others, you're ultimately doing to yourself. Every person you help yourself. Every person you harm yourself. Not immediately, not obviously, but inevitably. The universe keeps perfect accounts, and balance is always restored. This isn't about morality imposed from outside. It's about understanding the mechanics of reality and making intelligent choices based on that understanding. Rogers encourages embracing this law and working with it consciously. Be impeccable with your word. Treat others with the kindness and respect you want to receive. Give generously, not to get something back, but because you understand that giving is how the universe works, how energy flows, how life expands. Trust that what you give will return to you, multiplied, though perhaps not from the same source or in the same form. Plant seeds of goodness everywhere, and you'll eventually harvest abundance. Now, Rogers addresses something crucial that many self-development teachings ignore: suffering. Life includes pain, loss, disappointment, grief. You will experience these things no matter how spiritually developed you become. The difference is in how you relate to suffering. Unconscious people are destroyed by suffering. They become bitter, angry, victimized, broken. Conscious people use suffering as fuel for growth. They find meaning in pain. They emerge stronger, wiser, more compassionate. Every difficulty contains a lesson. Every challenge contains an opportunity. Every setback contains seeds of equivalent or greater benefit. When you face suffering, instead of asking, "Why me?" or "This is unfair," ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? What is this experience trying to teach me?" This shift in perspective transforms suffering from meaningless tragedy into meaningful teacher. Rogers also points out that much of our suffering is self-created, manufactured by resistance to what is. When something happens that you don't like, and you fight against it mentally and emotionally, refusing to accept it, that resistance creates suffering. The event itself may be painful, but the resistance multiplies that pain exponentially. When you practice acceptance, not passive resignation, but conscious acknowledgement of what is, much of the suffering dissolves. You can still work to change circumstances, but you do so from a place of peace rather than desperate resistance. This relates to another important teaching: detachment. Rogers clarifies that detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not being controlled by outcomes. You can care deeply about something, work passionately toward it, while remaining inwardly peaceful regardless of results. Attachment is when you believe your happiness depends on a specific outcome, when you think you need certain circumstances to be okay. This is weakness because it makes your inner state dependent on external conditions you can't fully control. Detachment is inner freedom. You do your best, you apply the principles, you work intelligently, but you remain at peace whether things go as planned or not. You trust the universe, you trust the process. You trust that whatever happens is ultimately for your highest good, even if you can't see how. This doesn't make you passive or uncaring. It makes you powerful because you're not thrown off balance by changing circumstances. Rogers teaches extensively about the power of thought discipline in creating health and healing. Your body responds to your mental and emotional states. Chronic stress, worry, fear, anger. These create physiological changes that lead to illness. Peace, joy, love, confidence. These create physiological changes that support health. You can literally think yourself sick or think yourself well, not through magic, but through the real, measurable connections between mind and body. This doesn't mean you ignore physical causes of illness or refuse medical treatment. It means you recognize the mental and emotional dimensions of health and work with them consciously. Visualize your body as healthy, vital, strong. Hold thoughts of perfect health. Release mental and emotional toxins like resentment, unforgiveness, chronic worry. Treat your body with loving care. Speak to it with appreciation and encouragement. These practices support your physical health profoundly. Rogers also discusses the importance of environment. You're constantly influenced by the people you spend time with, the media you consume, the physical spaces you inhabit. Surround yourself with beauty whenever possible. Spend time in nature regularly. Choose friends who uplift you, who encourage your growth, who reflect back your highest potential. Limit exposure to negativity, whether that's negative people, depressing news, violent entertainment, or toxic social media. This isn't about escaping reality or living in a bubble. It's about protecting your consciousness, maintaining your vibration, guarding your mental and emotional state. You can't control everything you're exposed to, but you can make conscious choices about much of it. Choose wisely. Your environment either supports your development or undermines it. One of the most powerful sections in Rogers' teaching deals with intuition. Beyond rational mind, beyond logical analysis, you have access to a higher intelligence, intuition, the voice of your higher self, your connection to universal wisdom. Intuition speaks through subtle feelings, quiet knowing, sudden insights, gentle guidance. Most people ignore intuition because it's not loud or forceful, because it often contradicts logical thinking, because following it requires trust. But Rogers insists that developing and following intuition is essential to accessing higher power. Your rational mind knows only what it has learned, what it has experienced, what it can deduce logically. Your intuition has access to infinite intelligence. It knows things your rational mind cannot know. It sees connections and possibilities invisible to logical analysis. As you quiet your surface mind through meditation and presence, intuition becomes clearer, stronger, more reliable. Learn to distinguish intuition from fear-based impulses or wishful thinking. Intuition feels calm, certain, peaceful, even if the guidance is challenging. Fear-based reactions feel agitated, urgent, panicky. Wishful thinking feels excited but unstable. Real intuition has a quality of quiet knowing, of rightness, even when you can't explain why. The more you honor intuition by following it, even in small things, the stronger and clearer it becomes. Rogers emphasizes that self-development is not selfish. Yes, you're working on yourself, but the ultimate purpose is to become a greater blessing to the world. As you develop your consciousness, heal your wounds, access your power, expand your love, you naturally become more helpful to others. You have more to give, you're more stable, you're wiser, you're kinder. Your own transformation radiates out and uplifts everyone you encounter. Think of it like the oxygen mask instruction on airplanes. Put on your own mask first, then help others. If you're drowning yourself, you can't save anyone. But if you're strong, conscious, powerful, centered, you become a life preserver for others. So working on yourself is not selfish indulgence. It's preparing yourself to serve more effectively. Rogers also talks about the importance of gratitude as a spiritual practice and power tool. Gratitude is not just being polite or appreciative when good things happen. Gratitude is a fundamental orientation toward life, a recognition that life itself is a gift, that existence is a miracle, that even in difficulty, there is always something to appreciate. When you practice gratitude consistently, you shift your vibration to match abundance, because gratitude acknowledges abundance already present. Keep a gratitude journal. Write down what you're grateful for each day, not mechanically, but really feeling the appreciation as you write. Start your day with gratitude, listing things you appreciate before your feet hit the floor. End your day with gratitude, reviewing what was good about the day. This simple practice rewires your brain to notice positive things, to focus on what's working rather than what's wrong, and this shift in focus attracts more positive experiences. Even in difficult times, find something to be grateful for. Maybe you're grateful for the lesson you're learning, for the strength you're developing, for the friends who support you, for the roof over your head, for your basic health, for the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still able to choose how you respond. Gratitude in adversity is especially powerful because it demonstrates that your peace is not dependent on perfect circumstances. Let's talk about another major theme: the difference between personality and individuality. Personality is your ego, your social mask, the constructed self you present to the world. It's not bad. It's necessary for functioning in society, but it's not your true self. Personality is learned, conditioned, culturally shaped, often based on fear and desire for approval. Individuality is your unique essence, your authentic self, the particular way the universal consciousness expresses through you. Most people spend their lives strengthening personality, trying to maintain their self-image, defending their ego, seeking validation. This is exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling because personality is just a construct, an illusion. It has no real substance. Rogers encourages you to go deeper, to discover your true individuality beneath personality. This requires honesty, courage, willingness to let go of images and pretense and meet yourself as you actually are. As you connect with your true individuality, you become more authentic, more powerful, more creative. You stop caring so much what others think because you know who you are. You stop trying to fit in because you embrace your uniqueness. You stop comparing yourself to others because you recognize that you're incomparable, a unique expression of life that has never existed before and will never exist again. This realization is incredibly liberating and empowering. Rogers also discusses the concept of Dharma, though he may not use that specific term. Dharma is your life purpose, your unique role in the cosmic plan, the particular contribution you're here to make. Every person has Dharma, something they're uniquely suited to do, a way they're meant to express and serve. Discovering your Dharma and living it is the path to fulfillment and power. How do you discover your Dharma? Look at what you love, what naturally attracts you, what you do effortlessly. Look at your natural talents and abilities. Look at the problems that upset you, because often you're meant to help solve those problems. Look at what makes you come alive, what gives you energy rather than draining you. Your Dharma is where your gifts meet the world's needs, where what you love to do serves something larger than yourself. Living your Dharma doesn't mean everything becomes easy or that you'll always feel inspired. There will still be challenges, obstacles, moments of doubt. But when you're living your Dharma, these difficulties feel meaningful, worth overcoming. You have a sense of rightness, of being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do. And this alignment brings power flowing through you because you're working with your nature rather than against it, cooperating with the universe's intention for you rather than resisting it. Rogers speaks to the reality that self-development is not linear. You don't just steadily improve day by day, always moving forward. Growth happens in cycles, in spirals. Sometimes you'll feel like you're making tremendous progress, everything clicking into place, breakthroughs happening regularly. Other times you'll feel stuck, like nothing's working, like you're moving backward. Both phases are normal, necessary, part of the process. The plateau phases, where nothing seems to be happening, these are often periods of integration and consolidation. You're not moving backward, you're deepening, stabilizing, preparing for the next leap forward. Trust the process during these times. Keep practicing even when you don't see immediate results. The work you're doing is having effects beneath the surface, like seeds germinating underground before they break through into visible growth. And when you do experience setbacks, when old patterns resurface, when you react unconsciously despite your practice, don't despair. This doesn't mean you've failed or that the practices don't work. It means you're human, you're learning, you're in process. Be gentle with yourself, learn from the setback, recommit to your practices, and move forward. Every master has fallen countless times on the path to mastery. What makes them masters is that they kept getting back up. Rogers emphasizes the importance of self-honesty throughout this journey. You must be willing to look at yourself clearly without denial or self-deception. This requires courage because you'll see things you don't like, patterns you're ashamed of, ways you've hurt others or sabotaged yourself. But this honest self-examination is essential. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. You cannot heal what you keep hidden, even from yourself. At the same time, balance honesty with compassion. Yes, see yourself clearly, but don't brutalize yourself with harsh judgment. You're doing the best you can with the consciousness you have. You've made mistakes because you were unconscious, limited, afraid, human. As you grow in consciousness, you'll naturally make different choices. Beating yourself up about the past doesn't help. It just keeps you stuck in guilt and shame. Learn, forgive yourself, and move forward. One of the most liberating teachings Rogers offers is that you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to have everything figured out, to never make mistakes, to always respond with wisdom and grace. Perfection is not the goal. Growth is. Power comes not from flawlessness, but from consciousness, from awareness, from the willingness to keep learning and evolving. A person who admits mistakes and learns from them is far more powerful than someone who pretends to be perfect. This takes pressure off and makes the journey more enjoyable. You can relax, experiment, try things and fail, laugh at yourself, be human. Self-development is not about becoming some impossible ideal. It's about becoming more fully yourself, more conscious, more alive, more loving, more powerful, more free. And that journey, with all its ups and downs, is actually fun when you stop taking it so seriously. Rogers also discusses the role of faith, not blind belief in doctrines, but living faith, trust in the fundamental goodness and intelligence of the universe. When you have faith, you can take risks, try new things, venture into unknown territory, because you trust that the universe supports your growth and will provide what you need. Without faith, you remain timid, cautious, afraid, playing small to feel safe. But here's the thing about faith. It develops through experience. You don't just decide to have faith and suddenly possess it. You build faith by taking small risks, trying the principles, seeing results, learning that the universe really does respond to your consciousness. Each success builds confidence. Each confirmation strengthens trust until faith becomes unshakable, knowing based on direct experience. So start small. Try the practices with just a little bit of willingness, a little bit of openness. Notice what happens. When you see results, your faith will grow naturally. When you experience the power of focused thought, when you witness synchronicities appearing, when you feel the peace of presence, when you see circumstances shifting to match your inner state, you won't need to force faith. You'll have earned knowing. Let's explore Rogers' teaching on the power of silence. In our noisy, busy, overstimulated world, silence is rare and undervalued. But silence is not empty. It's full, pregnant with potential, alive with presence. In silence, you reconnect with your deeper self. In silence, you hear intuition. In silence, you access wisdom. In silence, you rest in your true nature as pure consciousness. Make time for silence regularly, not just in formal meditation, but throughout your day. Turn off music, podcasts, news, social media. Sit in silence. Walk in silence. Drive in silence. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable, awkward, boring. That discomfort is actually revealing your addiction to stimulation, your habit of avoiding yourself through constant distraction. Sit with the discomfort. It will pass. Beneath it lies peace, clarity, presence, power. In silence, you're not waiting for something to happen, You're simply being. This is profoundly restful and healing. Our culture emphasizes constant doing, but being is equally important, perhaps more so. From being flows right action. From silence flows creativity. From stillness flows power. As the ancient text says, be still and know. Rogers talks about the importance of reading and studying wisdom teachings. You are what you consume mentally, just as you are what you eat physically. If you fill your mind with garbage, shallow entertainment, negative news, frivolous content, your consciousness reflects that. But if you regularly read wisdom literature, inspiring biographies, profound philosophy, practical self-development material, your consciousness elevates, expands, enriches. Make reading part of your daily practice. Even 15 or 20 minutes a day adds up tremendously over time. Choose books carefully. Seek out the timeless wisdom traditions, the great spiritual teachers, the proven self-development classics. Read works that challenge you, that expand your thinking, that inspire you to grow. And don't just read passively, read actively, with a pen, taking notes, questioning, pondering, applying what you learn. This book you're learning about right now, Self-Development and the Way to Power, is one such work worthy of deep study. Rogers packed profound wisdom into these pages, practical techniques tested by countless people over many decades. Return to this material regularly. Each reading reveals new layers of meaning, deeper insights, more applicable wisdom. Great books aren't meant to be read once and put away. They're meant to be companions on your lifelong journey. Rogers addresses the question of teachers and gurus. Do you need a teacher? Can you develop on your own? His answer is nuanced. Yes, you can learn much on your own through study, practice, experience. The teacher within, your higher self, your connection to universal intelligence, this is ultimately the most important teacher. However, external teachers can be tremendously valuable. A good teacher has walked the path before you. They know the pitfalls. They can offer guidance, correction, encouragement, wisdom born of experience. But choose teachers carefully. A true teacher serves your growth, not their ego. They point you toward your own inner authority rather than creating dependency. They demonstrate the qualities they teach. They admit their limitations. They welcome questions. They encourage your independence. Beware of teachers who claim absolute authority, who demand unquestioning obedience, who isolate you from others, who use fear or guilt as teaching tools. These are false teachers serving their own needs, not yours. The best approach is to learn from many sources. Read widely, study different traditions, explore various methods. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You're not looking for someone to follow blindly. You're gathering tools, testing practices, discovering what works for you. Trust your intuition about teachers and teachings. If something feels off, honor that feeling. If something resonates deeply, explore it further. Another principle Rogers emphasizes is the importance of giving and receiving. Life is circulation, energy flowing in and out, giving and receiving in balance. Many people are better at one than the other. Some people give endlessly, but can't receive, which actually blocks flow and creates subtle resentment. Others want to receive but don't give, which violates universal law and leads to lack. True abundance requires balanced circulation. Practice both consciously. Give generously, your time, your attention, your resources, your talents, your love. Give without counting cost, without expecting return, simply because giving feels good, because you have something to share, because giving is how life flows. but also practice receiving graciously. When someone offers help, accept it. When someone gives a compliment, say thank you rather than deflecting. When abundance comes to you, welcome it with gratitude rather than feeling guilty or undeserving. This balance creates a powerful energy flow in your life. You become a channel through which abundance flows freely, in and out, always circulating, always increasing. Blockage in either direction, inability to give or inability to receive, creates stagnation and limitation. Keep the energy moving in both directions, and you'll experience ever-expanding abundance. Rogers also teaches about the power of words. Words are not just communication tools, they're creative forces. Every word you speak sends out vibrations that affect you and others. Negative words, complaining, criticizing, gossiping, speaking defeat. These create negative energy and attract negative circumstances. Positive words, encouraging, uplifting, speaking truth and possibility, these create positive energy and attract positive circumstances. Become conscious of your speech. Listen to what you say, how you say it, the energy behind it. Are you constantly complaining? Stop. Are you always speaking limitation? I can't. I'll never. It's impossible. Change your language. Are you critical and judgmental toward others? Practice seeing the good. Your words are programming your reality, so choose them wisely. Speak what you want to create, not what you want to avoid. This applies especially to how you talk about yourself. Self-deprecating humor might seem harmless, but it reinforces negative self-image. Saying, "I'm so stupid," or "I'm terrible at this," or "I never succeed," even jokingly, impresses these ideas on your subconscious. Instead, speak kindly to and about yourself. Acknowledge challenges without defining yourself by them. "I'm learning," instead of "I can't." "I'm developing this skill," instead of "I'm bad at this." Now, Rogers discusses something that many people struggle with: dealing with other people's negativity. As you grow in consciousness and power, you'll naturally want to help others, to share what you're learning, to inspire transformation. But not everyone will be receptive. Some people will mock your efforts, discourage your growth, try to pull you back to their level. This is not malicious necessarily, it's fear. Your growth threatens their comfortable illusions, challenges their excuses, forces them to confront their own stagnation. Don't let others' negativity derail you. Compassion is important, understanding is valuable, but you cannot sacrifice your growth to make others comfortable. Share what you're learning when people are genuinely interested. But don't force it. Don't preach. Don't try to convince skeptics. Lead by example. Your transformation will speak louder than words. As you become happier, more successful, more peaceful, more powerful, some people will notice and ask, "What's changed?" Then you can share. But protect your consciousness from those who want to tear you down. Sometimes this means creating distance from toxic relationships, even family or old friends. This can be painful, but it's sometimes necessary. You cannot grow in consciousness while constantly surrounded by people who reinforce limitation, fear, and negativity. Choose your companions wisely. Spend time with people who inspire you, challenge you to grow, celebrate your success, support your dreams. These relationships feed your power. Toxic relationships drain it. Rogers talks about the role of adversity as a teacher. Some of your greatest growth will come not from pleasant experiences, but from challenges, failures, losses, pain. Adversity strips away illusions, reveals what's real, shows you what you're made of. It forces you to dig deep, to find resources you didn't know you had, to develop capacities that remained dormant during easy times. When adversity comes, and it will, don't waste it. Don't just suffer passively or indulge in victimhood. Mine the experience for its gifts. What is this teaching you? What strength are you developing? What weakness is being revealed that you can now address? What priorities are becoming clear? What truly matters? Adversity clarifies, purifies, strengthens. People who've faced significant challenges and used them for growth often become far more powerful than those who've had easy lives. This doesn't mean seeking out suffering or romanticizing pain. It means using whatever life brings, pleasant or difficult, as material for growth. Everything can serve your development if you approach it with that intention. Every experience, positive or negative, contains lessons, opportunities, gifts. Your job is to extract the value, learn what's being offered, and integrate it into your expanding consciousness. Let's discuss Roger's teaching on money and material abundance. Some spiritual teachings claim that wanting material things is unspiritual, that poverty is noble, that money is somehow dirty or evil. Rogers completely rejects this. Money is neutral, it's energy, a tool, a resource. It becomes positive or negative based on how it's acquired and used. Money earned honestly and used wisely is perfectly compatible with spiritual development. In fact, financial stress and limitation can distract from spiritual growth, whereas financial abundance can provide freedom to focus on higher development and greater service. The universe is infinitely abundant. Scarcity is an illusion created by limited consciousness. When you truly understand that you are one with infinite abundance, that the universe wants to support you, that there's more than enough for everyone, you open yourself to receiving material prosperity. But this isn't about greed or selfish accumulation. It's about accepting that you deserve abundance, that having resources allows you to live fully and serve powerfully. Apply the same principles to manifesting money as to anything else. Visualize abundance. Feel wealthy regardless of current circumstances. Think thoughts of prosperity. Speak words of abundance. Give generously even from limited means. Expect good to come to you. And take practical action. Develop skills. Create value. Serve others. Manifestation isn't magic that bypasses action. It's aligning your consciousness with desired outcomes while taking intelligent steps toward them. Release any shame or guilt about wanting financial abundance. It's perfectly fine to desire nice things, comfortable living, freedom from money worries. The universe doesn't judge your desires as spiritual or unspiritual. What matters is your relationship with money, whether you're enslaved by it or using it as a tool, whether you're hoarding it fearfully or circulating it generously, whether you're acquiring it honestly or dishonestly. Rogers emphasizes that as you develop power, you'll naturally attract more material resources. Power and abundance go together, not because powerful people manipulate and take, but because consciousness creates circumstances, and expanded consciousness creates expanded circumstances. Your external abundance always reflects your internal state. Change your consciousness about money, wealth, and abundance, and your financial circumstances will inevitably change. Now let's talk about one of the most important sections of Rogers' teaching: overcoming fear. Fear is the great enemy of growth and power. Fear keeps you small, contracted, limited, playing safe. Most fear is not based on real danger, but on imagination, on worrying about things that haven't happened and probably never will. Even when fear seems to be about something real, it's usually exaggerated by imagination and reinforced by dwelling on it. The antidote to fear is understanding. When you understand that your true nature is immortal spirit, what is there to fear? Physical death is just a transition, not annihilation. When you understand that you're always creating your reality through consciousness, you realize you're never actually powerless or helpless. When you understand universal law and trust the intelligence of the universe, you know that everything ultimately serves your growth and good. Face your fears consciously. Don't suppress them or pretend they're not there, but don't indulge them either. Examine them rationally. What exactly are you afraid of? Is it really likely to happen? If it did happen, could you handle it? Usually, honest examination reveals that your fears are either unlikely or manageable. This rational analysis takes away much of fear's power. But beyond analysis, cultivate courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite fear. Every time you do something despite being afraid, you weaken fear's grip and strengthen your courage. Start with small acts of courage and build. Speak up when you'd normally stay silent. Try something new when you'd normally play safe. Take a risk when you'd normally choose security. Each courageous act proves to yourself that you're braver than you thought, more capable than you believed. Rogers promises that as you grow in consciousness and power, fear naturally diminishes, not because life becomes easier or risk-free, but because you become stronger, more confident, more trusting. You develop faith based on experience. You know you can handle whatever comes. You trust that you're guided and protected. You understand that even apparent failures and setbacks serve your ultimate good. From this consciousness, fear has little power over you. Another crucial teaching is about forgiveness. Unforgiveness, holding grudges, nursing resentment, replaying old hurts, all of this binds you to the past and drains your power. When you refuse to forgive someone, you don't hurt them, you hurt yourself. You carry the toxicity, you replay the pain. You remain connected energetically to that person and event. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's how you free yourself from the past. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust that person again or allow them back into your life. Forgiveness simply means you release the emotional charge. You stop letting the past poison your present. You free up the energy that's been locked in resentment. This frees you to move forward, to create new positive experiences, to use your power constructively rather than keeping it bound to the past. If forgiveness feels impossible, start by being willing to be willing. You don't have to feel forgiveness immediately, but be willing to eventually forgive. This opens the door. Then work on it gradually. Understand that hurt people, that whoever wronged you was acting from their own pain, fear, limitation. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you see them as human, flawed, struggling, like everyone. From this perspective, compassion becomes possible, and compassion dissolves resentment. And don't forget to forgive yourself. Many people are harder on themselves than they'd ever be on others. They carry guilt and shame for past mistakes that they'd have forgiven long ago in someone else. But self-condemnation is toxic and powerless. You did what you did from the consciousness you had then. You've grown since then, learned, changed. Forgive yourself completely. Learn from the past, make amends where possible, but release the guilt. You deserve your own compassion and forgiveness. Rogers discusses the power of association, the people and environments you spend time in. You become like those you associate with. If you spend time with negative, limited, fearful people, you'll find yourself thinking more negatively, feeling more limited, experiencing more fear. If you spend time with positive, growing, courageous people, you'll naturally elevate. This isn't weakness or susceptibility, it's how consciousness works. We're energetically connected, influencing each other constantly. Consciously choose your associations. Seek out people who are where you want to be, who embody qualities you want to develop, who are doing what you want to do. Their energy will uplift you. Their example will inspire you. Their conversations will expand your thinking. Join groups focused on growth, attend workshops and seminars, participate in communities of conscious people. These connections provide support, accountability, inspiration, and acceleration. At the same time, limit exposure to toxic people when possible. You may have obligations to certain relationships, family, or work connections you can't simply drop. That's fine. Fulfill those obligations consciously. But minimize unnecessary exposure to people who drain your energy, criticize your growth, or reinforce limitation. Protect your consciousness as you would protect a precious garden from weeds and pests. Let's explore Rogers' wisdom about patience and timing. Power doesn't mean forcing things to happen on your timeline. True power includes trusting divine timing, understanding that there are seasons to life, rhythms and cycles that operate beyond your conscious control. Some things take time to develop, mature, manifest. Trying to force premature manifestation often backfires, creating struggle and frustration. Practice patience, not passive waiting, but active patience, trusting patience. Continue doing your inner work, taking appropriate action, holding your vision, maintaining faith, but release attachment to specific timing. Trust that what's meant for you will come at exactly the right time, when you're ready, when circumstances are aligned, when maximum benefit is possible. Often what seems like delay is actually perfect timing from a larger perspective. This requires surrendering control, which can be uncomfortable for the ego. The ego wants to control everything, to force outcomes, to make things happen now. But spirit knows better timing than ego. When you release egoic control and trust spiritual guidance, things often work out better and more easily than your ego could have arranged. Surrender is not weakness, it's the ultimate power move, aligning with forces far greater and wiser than your limited personal self. As we approach the end of this exploration, I want to emphasize what Rogers makes crystal clear throughout his work. You are far more powerful than you realize. The limitations you experience are not inherent to your nature. They're learned. They're illusions created by limited consciousness. They're temporary conditions that change as your consciousness expands. The power to transform your life completely exists within you right now. It's not something you need to earn or acquire. It's something you need to recognize, claim, and develop. This recognition alone changes everything. When you truly know yourself as unlimited spiritual being, temporarily using physical form, when you understand that consciousness creates reality, when you grasp that you are quite literally one with the infinite intelligence that created and sustains all existence, how can you remain small, fearful, limited? You can't. That knowing, deeply integrated, automatically begins transforming how you think, feel, and act. And those transformations inevitably create different circumstances, better outcomes, expanded possibilities. The journey of self-development Rogers describes is not quick or easy. It requires commitment, discipline, persistence, courage, honesty. It requires facing yourself completely, the light and the shadow, the strength and the weakness, the progress and the setbacks. It requires taking responsibility for your life rather than blaming circumstances or others. It requires consistent practice, even when you don't feel like it, even when results aren't obvious, even when doubt creeps in. But Rogers promises, and countless people who've walked this path confirm, that the rewards are beyond measure. Imagine living with deep inner peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Imagine having confidence rooted not in accomplishments or others' opinions, but in knowing who you truly are. Imagine being able to face any challenge with calm certainty that you'll handle it. Imagine creating the life you actually want, rather than settling for what seems possible. Imagine being free from fear, free from need for approval, free from limitation. This is what becomes possible, what becomes natural, as you develop your consciousness and power. And remember, your development serves not just yourself, but everyone you encounter. As you become more conscious, loving, powerful, peaceful, you radiate that energy to others. You inspire by example. You help simply by being who you've become. Your growth contributes to the collective evolution of humanity. So this work is not selfish. It's one of the most generous, important things you can do, transforming yourself so you can serve life more fully. I hope this exploration of L.W. Rogers' self-development and the way to power has inspired you, given you practical tools, and awakened you to the immense potential that lies within you. These are not just nice ideas to consider intellectually, they're principles to apply, practices to engage, truths to embody. Your life will transform to the exact degree that you actually implement these teachings. Reading or listening isn't enough. You must practice, experiment, persist. Start today, right now. Choose one practice from this material and commit to it for the next 30 days. Maybe it's daily meditation, maybe it's concentration exercises, maybe it's affirmations, maybe it's gratitude journaling, maybe it's thought monitoring. Choose something specific, commit completely, and follow through regardless of how you feel, regardless of whether you see immediate results. That commitment and follow-through will begin building the power Rogers speaks of. And as you practice, as you grow, as you transform, remember that this is a lifelong journey. There's no finish line where you've arrived and can stop growing. Consciousness can always expand further. Love can always deepen. Power can always increase. Service can always widen. Embrace the journey itself. Find joy in the process of becoming. Celebrate small victories while remaining open to greater possibilities. If you found value in this summary and want to continue your journey of growth and transformation through more audiobook wisdom, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Audiobook Library. Your support through likes and subscriptions helps this channel grow and continue bringing you powerful, life-changing content. Every like, every subscription, every share helps spread this wisdom to more people who need it, creating ripples of positive transformation throughout the world. Together, we're building a community of conscious, growing, powerful individuals committed to becoming the best versions of ourselves and serving the greater good. The power is within you, waiting to be awakened, developed, expressed. Trust yourself, trust the process, trust the universe. You are capable of far more than you imagine. Your potential is limitless. Your true nature is divine. Step into your power, claim your birthright, and create the magnificent life you're meant to live. The journey begins now.